Hey guys, welcome to the Wednesday night Sports Betting Truth Super Stream with me, yours truly, William. And I'm just going to get right to it. The elephant in the room. I came out the video last night. Obviously, that was a risk. It definitely was. I don't want pick dogs to think that I was specifically picking on them. They just happen to be the target of my video. When I first created Sports Betting Truth, the idea was to be a watchdog of sorts and hold the touting industry accountable. But for the first 2 years of this channel, I would make videos about how touts are scam artists and how their tactics are gimmicks and all of that stuff. But I never actually called out any individual touts in my videos. Until last night. If you want to say the Line Maker Sports video, I guess I called him out. But the issue is that they just happened to be the target of the video last night. And I wasn't picking on them specifically as much as I was, how do I put it, picking on all touts. Because I think all touts are bad. I do. All touts are scum. They just happen to be the target. I don't regret anything I said in that video. And so they're all coming at me with phone calls, emails, Twitter messages, comments on my YouTube video. They're doing the full court press, trying to make me out to be the bad guy here. I regret nothing. Part of the reason for 2 years that I refused to really call out touts by name is A, I didn't want to give them any publicity, and B, I guess I didn't want the channel to be based around that. Overall, the vibe I wanted for this channel to be is more of a positive one. If I'm just sitting here attacking touts the entire time, then it's going to be really hard, to gain attraction of an audience, which is why I spent most of the first year and a half of this channel coming out with educational videos and content geared towards, helping people out to bet on sports. But eventually, I slowed down in that realm because it's hard to come up with content like that specifically, especially when you know that sports betting is rigged. And when I say rigged, I'm not saying like fixed as much as I'm saying it is very hard to beat the house. It's very hard to profit long run betting on sports. I would say there's really two ways you can do it. Extreme luck or spend an ungodly amount of time building and developing models to bet with. And both are not realistic for 99% of people who bet on sports, because blind luck is, you have about the same odds of hitting a progressive jackpot in a slot machine than you would profiting long-term betting on sports via blind luck. Or you can spend hours and hours and hours building complex models that might give you a chance. They're not going to guarantee you win anything. It might give you a chance. So it kind of creates a problem in that it was hard to come out with videos of to help people bet on sports when I knew deep down this stuff isn't really going to matter for most people, because like I've always said, 99.9% of people who bet on sports are going to fail in the long run. And that's why the educational content kind of slowed down. So I started doing the reaction videos. I don't want the reaction videos to be all negative, all making fun of people, all calling people out. I want to do reaction videos where I think, hey, this is a good video. Let's give them credit, right? I would like to do that. So the next video I do is going to be along that. Or reaction videos based on how the media covers sports betting. Like that Billy Welchers video is on my list. But I think all touts are bad. And Pick Dogs has really spent the entire day flooding my inboxes on various sites and even my phone, trying to say we do it right. We're the good guys. We sell picks the right way. But I've made a video on this. There is no such thing as selling picks the right way. I don't care if you are meticulous with your documentation and your long-term records. I don't care. I don't care if you do everything by the book or right. The fact that you're selling picks is bad because A, if you really were that good at selling picks, you wouldn't be selling them. You would be betting them yourself and protecting your edges. And B, it's asking a lot of people who are buying your picks to... People buying your picks have a higher threshold they need to hit when it comes to winning their bets, because they have to compensate for the fees they're paying you. So if it takes 52.4% of your bets to win to profit against the spread, then someone who's buying picks needs to hit a higher percentage of that to overcome the fees. And that's ultimately why all touts are bad, because they know that. They know people aren't going to overcome the fees. And so you're setting people up to fail. And Guys, I know Touts. Why do you think I hate Touts so much? It's because I used to work in sports radio. Touts would come on the air. They would be brought on as guests. They would even have their own shows that really they paid for the airtime and presented as a legit show. They would run advertisements on the stations I worked for, and they're all liars. I was a producer. I listened to their crap. I knew who they were on. I kept the receipts. I knew they were lying about their record. They'd go on the air and give out 5 picks that would go 0-5, and then the next day they're running an ad or being brought on as a guest or coming onto their show saying they went 4-1. They're liars. They're swindlers. They're scam artists, and that's why touts are bad, because they have to lie about their records to get people to buy their picks. Because if they were honest about their records, no one would buy it. That's why they have to resort to smoke and mirrors tactics. Like I've covered these in detail. I've covered it in detail, the gimmicks they use to make their records seem like they're winners when they're really not. And most touts, of course, here come the phone calls. Guys, I'm not going to answer your phone calls, guys, so just give up. But the reason, I just threw my phone over there, I'm not even going to see it. So the reason touts make it very hard to hold them accountable. I was going to make a separate video on this, and I probably still will, but like Stu Feiner, for example, charges thousands of dollars for his picks, right? Why do you think he does that? Do you think it's because his picks are really worth that much money? No. It's because with a barrier to entry that high to gain access to it picks, it makes it that much harder for people to track his picks. Because if you have to pay $3,000 for a single pick or however much that clown charges, how many people are actually going to buy that? And therefore, how many people are going to know how his picks do day in and day out? And therefore, how many people can show the receipts and show how he's truly doing against the spread long term? That's one of the reasons touts charge a lot of money for picks. It's to prevent accountability. It's to prevent people from being able to track their long-term records. It's like the pregame website that puts, they're like, oh, we document and put all of our picks on our website for you to go back and view, but they make you jump through so many hoops to actually be able to scrape and mine enough of that data to be able to tell whether or not they're profitable long-term or not. And there's been people who have done that. The Deadspin article about pregame that came out about 5 years ago. I hate Deadspin, but that article is spot on. That Deadspin article, they had someone who had enough software skills to be able to mine pregame and scrape their information, and they were all losers. They're all losers. And yet, what is pregame going to do? They're going to advertise that they're all winners, and that's why touts are scum, because it's false advertising. It's misleading. They spin, they lie, they embellish to get people to buy their picks. And I know what a lot of people say about touts as well. They're like, well, I've heard people use this justification as to why they buy picks. They're like, I'm not paying for winning picks. I'm paying for someone to do the research for me, right? But that's a misconception. People think that these touts are actually sitting at a desk 8 hours a day and researching and handicapping these games. They're not. All the effort that touts spend is put in their marketing and advertising into the hype machine to get people to buy their picks. I've said that all along. You think these people are actually like researching and like crunching numbers and like analyzing film and match? No, they're not. They are not. I've said this before. They probably flip a coin. They probably go to Sports Reference or something and look at how the team played in their last game, or like look at their stat summaries, come up with a few bullet points to spit out to make it look like they did research on the game, and move on to the next one. You guys saw how many videos were on that page yesterday. How can they, like there's people coming out with like 5-10 picks in a single day. How can they possibly spend that much time on these things? Touts don't care. They just want your money. And I know what people are going to say. I'm like, well, the tout needs to win or otherwise they're going to lose their customers. No, they don't. I've seen how these touts operate. They use pressure tactics and high pressure sales tactics to keep people on the hook. That's why they have tiers. A lot of people will buy these picks and they lose. And then they're like, oh, well, I've been giving you losing picks on purpose. I don't think you're serious enough about winning. If you're serious enough about winning, then you need to buy this package. This is for only serious. See, they use that kind of reverse psychology on you as if, yeah, I've been giving you losing picks on purpose because I don't think you're serious enough. Like, they use high pressure sale. I've seen how these touts operate. It's high pressure. But anyway, wow, I've got a lot of people joining. Yeah, of course. Like, I'm not even viewing the chat right now because I'm sure it's full of a bunch of shills and stuff. Okay, I'm looking at the chat now. Oh, wow. Yeah. Geez, where do I begin? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone's questions, because that's the ultimate point of this scheme or the stream is to answer questions and talk, I have a documented betting record. You can see how my models performed on my website, williamleiss.com. I mean, I've already, anybody who's followed me know that my models did not perform well in the last year, whether it be college football, college basketball, or Major League Baseball. But I don't sell access to those picks, so it doesn't matter. I don't care. Geez, I'm trying to catch up with the chat, guys. It's usually not this fast. Yeah, I don't know how they got my phone number either. That's a good question. I'm not afraid of threats from anybody. But the thing that touts fear the most is sunlight. They fear sunlight because their operation cannot operate with transparency. That's why they have to resort to smoke and mirrors. The thing is that, yeah, BetMGM and BetRivers sponsors me, but I don't get a cut of my losses. They paid me a set fee up front to advertise them. I said, I'm not going to participate in the affiliate game. Just pay me this amount of money and I'll advertise for you. But no, I don't want this to be a personal attack. It's about the touting industry. I don't want to cap against each other. I don't care. I'm not in a dick measuring contest. I'm not in a dick measuring contest. Like I said, I haven't even run any of my models in like months. I haven't done any of that. Because A, I don't really have a legal avenue to bet on sports here in Texas anymore. And B, I learned over time that it's very hard to profit betting on sports. I have a data science background. It's what I do for a living. Data science and public opinion research is what I do for a living. And I spent countless hours developing models for college basketball, which I had success with last season. I haven't run my college basketball model this year. But baseball and college football were black holes this year. It's hard. And the juice wasn't worth the squeeze anymore. And I've always said, don't do something you don't enjoy. But that's not what this is about. It's not about who's a better handicapper. It's not about who can pick against the spread better. That's not what it's about. It's about ethics and morals. Yeah, I'm going to answer Anthony McClanahan's question about Georgia. I was honestly surprised because I honestly thought Alabama was better than that, but they did have injuries. Let's not downplay that. They did have injuries. I didn't really watch. I watched like the last 8 minutes or so because, to be honest, I just wasn't too thrilled about an all-SEC matchup with Alabama again. And honestly, I don't like either team because, let's face it, Alabama, Georgia, they're just teams that have paid players before it was legal. They're cheaters. So why would I want to watch two cheaters go at it? But I was honestly surprised. I know Georgia won by 2 touchdowns, but let's be real. That last touchdown was just a pick six. Alabama was trying to force things. It was a lot closer than a 15-point final score. Let's be real. But I don't want to say good for Georgia because they cheated. Let's be real. They're cheaters. All the SEC is cheaters. Yeah, winning the Rose Bowl was nice. Having that Rose Bowl ring behind me was nice. But the one team that finished ahead of us in the AP poll my senior year at TCU cheated. They were cheaters. Cheated. Auburn. Cam Newton. Cheaters. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to be like, oh, everybody pays players. If they were paying players at TCU when I was there, then they must have done a pretty bad job of it because I was roommates with 2 NFL players, and they were always asking me for money. So either they were really bad with managing the money they were getting paid, or we just weren't paying players. So my TCU team that I was a part of my senior year, we finished number 2. We didn't get a chance to play for the national title because of the cheating team in Auburn. Cheaters. And so why would I want to say good job Georgia and Alabama? Cheaters. They pay players. I know it's legal now, but they did it before it was legal. No, don't ban them yet. My favorite sport to watch when not betting is college basketball, Major League Baseball, and hockey. I'm not going to take the video down. I stand by it. Like Grubwarp said, all touts are selling snake oil. It's what they do. That's why you guys are so mad. That's why PickDogs is so mad. That's why you guys have expended so much energy over the last 24 hours on my video. Like, I'm a small-time YouTuber. I only have, 15,000 subscribers. The reason you guys are expending so much energy is because you know that a touting operation is built on a house of cards. It cannot stand on its own merits. It relies on gimmicks and smoke and mirrors tactics to succeed. And sunlight is damaging to your business model. It is. That's why you guys are so mad. That's why they're so mad. No, Eagles 01, yeah, I appreciate it. Hey, Brandon Hessler, good job. Pre-Shaw wants to know, do you think NFL playoffs, the spreads hold more? No. It's still, NFL's still a very hard sport to bet even in the playoffs. I admit, hey, Eric, Catherine, I don't mind giving you a wrench, but let's give them a little bit more leash. I don't want to, silence them. But NFL is still a very hard sport to bet, and it is. That's why I recommend not bothering with the NFL. I've already said about the transparency thing. It doesn't matter if you are transparent. It doesn't. You're still setting people up to fail. Still setting people up to fail. My next video that's a good question. There's, in terms of reaction videos, or I want to do a reaction video on something positive. I do. Somebody who, say, hey, this is a good, well done sports betting related video. Let's give them credit, right? Like my first one, the first reaction video I did with that Daniel Inskeep guy. Did I just... Yeah, sorry, guys. I accidentally hit the mute button. What was the last thing you guys said? I don't even know what I said, guys. I don't know where to... I hit the mute button at. But, yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is that attack me all you want for not playing at TCU. I was a walk-on wide receiver. I mean, I've never said I was a big-time player. I was just glad to be there, guys. I only saw action and mop-up duty. Who cares, you know? I was just glad to be there. It was just fun to be along for the ride. Yeah. Is it still muted? I just unmuted it. But, oh, wow. So it's been that long. So I was talking about living with NFL players. I think what I was saying is that if we paid players at TCU when I was there, then they did a very bad job of it, or they didn't, or the players that did get paid spent their money very poorly. I mean, I do plan on, hey, pick dogs. You guys aren't the only target of mine. I'm going to go after the wager talks and the pre-games and the Stu Finers of the world. I don't care. You say I'm on the bench in the sports industry like I care. Like, it reminds me of the people back last March who were attacking me for the same thing. I don't care. This is something I do for fun. I have a career. I have a job. I have a life. I don't want to be a big timer in the sports industry. I don't care. They paid me $50K because they didn't want me to sue them. Had nothing to do with me being a liability. I signed an NDA, so I can't talk about it, but something happened behind the scenes, and I kept the receipts. Always keep the receipts at your jobs, guys. If your company's doing something they shouldn't be doing, then document it and hold on to it. When they found out I had the receipts, that's why they paid me $50 to shut. Basically, they bought my silence for $50,000. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I'm so small time, if I'm such a not a big deal, then why have they spent the past 24 hours expending all this energy attacking me? Like, obviously I hit some kind of nerve. James Throw, I've been talking about Touts on this channel since day one. I just haven't really named any by name. The McDonald's slander? All right, so what qualifies someone to be a tout? Like I said, anybody can flip a coin, go to Sports Reference or Ken Palm or whatever and come up with a few convincing sounding paragraphs and participate in all the tout gimmicks. It's not hard. Anybody can sell both sides of the line. Yeah, this isn't the first time I've been under attack. This isn't the first time I've been under attack by touts. You know, last year during March Madness, I was under heavy attack by touts. And I admit, they did a lot better job of you guys of getting under my skin. But, you know, I wanted to move the stream back to what it was intended to be about, and that's talking about sports betting, sports in general, anything, you know, sports related or even beyond. And I know, who is it? Rashim is talking about conservatives for liberals. Touts are touts. Touts are touts. I regret nothing I said. It doesn't matter. Touts are touts. I don't care if there's generalizations or not. But, you know, making content for this channel is hard. You know, I spent a lot of years doing political consulting. I'd love to make more videos about that. I'd love to dive more into my expertise in the political consulting arena. Political polling, political research, all that stuff I did, but I stick to sports betting mainly. Why are you guys listing my parents in the chat? Like, I don't care. No, you guys act like I care. There are no good touts. I've made videos on that before. Watch my videos. The tout flow chart or the sports handicapper flow chart video. The are there any picks worth buying video. I've been making videos about touts for years. You guys are just mad that I attached a name to it this time. Oh, man. What a beating. This isn't what the stream was supposed to be about. It wasn't supposed to be about arguing, but I regret nothing. I regret nothing. And the other touts out there are going to get their comeuppance eventually. I'm going to call them out. If you guys are going to take legal action, then take legal action. I don't care. Eagles 0-1, I think some of them are and some of them aren't. Because the people from the March Madness debacle were calling me today and sending me text messages, and I had to block their number like I always do. Free winners, all right. I don't have hackers on my side. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that did Deadspin get sued when they did their article about pregame? Did Deadspin get sued? Everybody got a framed jersey. They handed it out to us at our awards banquet after the season. Everybody did. I also have like 4 jerseys in the closet over there. Yeah, Eagles 0-1. I do remember when they were calling you. I don't care. Like, I don't think my parents care. I remember back when these trolls were contacting my sister and she called me. Does anyone remember that? I had the TCU basketball game on to the left, by the way. They're playing Kansas State. So my goal is to go to all the road games this year for TCU basketball, and I was going to go to the KU game on New Year's Day, but they canceled it. And going to Kansas State on a Wednesday was going to be very tough because that meant I would have had to take a day off from work, but I'm going to try to go to all the rest. I'm definitely going to Iowa State next Saturday. I used to live in Iowa, catch up with some old friends. My background is I'm a data scientist. I build models and do public opinion research for a living. It's what I do. I've lived in Las Vegas twice. I've worked in radio and television in Las Vegas. I spent more than 10 years building out models and all of that. I used to, between radio, TV, and all that, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm saying I put more skin in the game than a lot of other people have. And I've come to the conclusion that the juice isn't worth the squeeze when trying to win long-term at sports betting. I believe it can be done, but the odds of success are so low that your time's better spent elsewhere. How's training for the marathon? That's why I delayed the stream tonight because I usually do my long runs on Saturdays, but the weather's going to be so bad on Saturday here that I'm moving my long run to Friday, and therefore I had to combine a couple runs today. Why the road games? Because I used to work for TCU basketball for a couple seasons, and that was one of my favorite parts about it was going on the road trips. There's a lot of good Big 12 basketball arenas, and I haven't done it in a while, and so just something I want to do. Yeah, I remember Alicia Lewis. James Holtzhauser. I mean, the thing with James Holtzhauser is people like him are more of I want to say autistic savants, Somebody like him is somebody who can create models that are going to beat the books long term, right? And I'm sure given enough time and resources, I would be able to do it. But I don't have, I don't have the resources. My college football model's profited 4 straight years. My college basketball model, back before my Twitter account was deleted, profited in 2020. Like I'm saying, but the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Because, I profited, but the margins were so low. Like, I want to say I won, 4 units in 2019 college football? And I won, 7 last year? Juice isn't worth the squeeze. I don't care. If you guys are going to sue me, sue me. I don't care. But yeah, we are I do data science for a living. I get paid a good salary to do data science for a living. Have you guys seen what the average data science salary starts at? Eagles 0-1. I'm heading that way, to be honest with you, because I want to get back to where what this stream's supposed to be about. This stream's supposed to be positive. It's supposed to be talking about sports betting and sports and life. I'm just saying, did Deadspin get sued with their article about pregame 5 years ago? If they did, then I might have something to fear. And trust me, I'm not a fan of Deadspin. But they did make a good article about pregame. But I just think touting is the worst part of sports betting. I do. Touting is the worst part. How many people on the roster of Pick Dogs actually have a statistical background? How many of them have a sports background? Who are these people? Who are these people? Okay. Anybody can become a tout. That's the problem. Touting used to be a very closed industry because you had to have a lot of capital to do things like buy airtime on television. Touts used to only be able to show up on paid programming advertisements on TV. That's how touting used to be. You used to be able to have to afford to do that. With the internet and YouTube and Twitter and all that, anybody can become a tout these days. It doesn't take anything special. It doesn't take a degree or training or education or any kind of background. You just need to be able to market yourself. You just need to know the gimmicks. Not yet, Eagles 0-1. I just don't understand why you guys are so upset. If I'm so small time, why are you guys wasting so much time? Yeah, no, pre-shot, that's exactly what touting used to be. It used to be a bunch of guys who would scream at the camera on 900 numbers on their ads. I remember playing those ads last year on a stream. What was it? The Duke's football report, and it was Jeff D'Ambrosia and or Jeff Allen and just all these clowns. No, my favorite touts are the ones that are really some touts aren't even worth making videos about because they're so small time. I don't care. You guys are acting like I care about these things. Gosh, so much people derailing the chat. Eagles 0-1, I just feel like if we, mute them or silence them, they'll just come back with another account. Kind of like how I block all these numbers from those people with Sports Grid. and they just come back with another number. Exactly. I want to know what I lied about. I believe the act of selling picks is scamming. I believe this mere notion of selling picks is scamming, especially when it's done under smoke and mirrors. Like the most common tout gimmick there is X handicapper is 10-2 in his last 12 games. And I'm always like, why are you cutting it off at 12? How's he doing in the last 24, 36, 48? They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that. A lot of parlays are like lottery tickets if you add a lot of teams to them. Yeah. I think it's time. But they're just going to come back with another account, but I think it's time. I've had so many sportsbooks come to me saying, advertise our sportsbook on your channel, we'll give you a cut of the revenue. That's exactly what it is. Revenue, aka losses of the people you get to sign up. That's exactly what it is. Anyway, I want to ask the people that have been with my channel, this is a Garmin, but I want to ask the people who are not trolls, the people who have been with this channel, before all of this. I might even do a poll. Do you still think I should do videos like the reaction videos where I'm calling out touts? Do you think I should still do those videos, or should I try to make it more positive, That's kind of where I'm at, because calling people out doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel, I don't get enjoyment out of calling people out for being scammers, but I just feel like it needs to be done. This is my first marathon, so I'm trying to get under 4 hours. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's worse people out there. Like, I think touts are scum. I do. But there's worse people out there, right? I believe that, the former industry I used to work in, news, there's so much that should be called out in the news industry. It's horrible. Exactly. Alex A., I feel the same way. If I'm going to keep doing it, I need to go all in. Hackers on my channel threaten folks. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care if I'm banned from YouTube. It wouldn't be the first time. Well, Dallas GMOE, I'm not going to disagree with the fact that my channel, I wouldn't say it was going downhill, but I feel like I was directionless, and I didn't really have, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the channel. Because like I said, it's hard to come up with sports betting content that is not picks and is not do this to win type of advice. It's hard to come up with fresh content that, how do I put it? It's hard to come up with fresh content that covers a lot of the base, that covers sports betting without those two things as a tentpole. There's only so many videos you can make saying, sports betting is hard. You're probably not going to win no matter how hard you try. There's only so many videos you can make like that. But honestly, that's the truth of sports betting. And there's only so many videos that you can make, like how to limit your downside, how to make it more enjoyable. So that's why I started doing the reaction videos, because okay, maybe I can explain what these other channels are doing, whether they're right or wrong. Like I said, I've definitely wanted to expand this channel into realms of what I do for a living, political consulting, opinion research. That would be so much, I feel like I could carve out a nice niche there. But I just don't know if that's what my viewers want. Because I have dabbled in those videos in the past, and they don't get the same reception that my sports betting videos do. I watch the analytics. Eagles 01, we done that before on the stream. I don't know who Anthony McLanahan is. What he does is independent of me. Oh, pre-shot. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's another gimmick that touts use that I haven't really talked about is they present a public face of their tout operation of some like an attractive woman. Wager Talk did this with Kelly in Vegas for a long time. They make an attractive woman the public face of their operation. Anthony Fiolo, I agree, but those videos are hard to do. And honestly, I could keep doing those videos, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really enjoying doing them. I mean, I know that's what a lot of you guys want. I prefer R, Steel SV. I know a lot of you guys want the data science videos, and I could make them, but I think I lost the... You got to enjoy making them, and I think I got to the point where I felt like I was obligated to do them rather than doing them because I wanted to. Maybe I'll get back to the time where I do want to do them again. If you guys got any ideas of data science related videos, model building videos, that type of stuff, then let me know. Let me know what exactly you want to see. I don't allow folks to threaten anybody. I haven't seen it. Man, you guys are annoying. Oh yeah, I'm Alex A. Stu Feiner and Barstool is my next target. I've already telegraphed that. Yep. But I want to do a reaction video about a positive sports betting video first before I go after Stu Feiner and Barstool. I'm not issuing an apology. I stand by what I say. That's part of why I quit the news industry, is that one of the TV stations that I worked for ran a news segment about featuring a couple of doctors that were giving their opinions on COVID and everything. And the video was posted to YouTube, and it got deleted by YouTube and Google. And instead of the TV company I worked for, instead of them coming to support their operation and calling out the censorship, they instead apologized. I'm like, why aren't you guys standing by the segment you approved, that you greenlighted? The TV station, you guys greenlighted this news segment. And yet you guys are apologizing instead of standing by your product? You guys are really going to wilt and bow and fold like a lawn chair in the face of big tech? And then they threw the people who created that segment under the bus. I'm like, if this was going to be your reaction, if someone, like, why did you run the segment in the first place? Why can't you stand by your product? The TV station got censored, and their reaction was to apologize and beg for mercy. I couldn't work for that anymore. And that same concept applies here. I stand by the video I came out with on Pick Dogs. I stand by it 100%. I'm not going to delete anything. I mean, I just think Barstool destroys their credibility by featuring a scamming, lying hack like Stu Feiner. It doesn't matter. They're still giving him a voice, Metro. They're still giving Stu Feiner a voice. I don't, Braden Heisler. I don't know if there's any like stateside data scientists that do work for sportsbooks. Mikowski, great question. I don't like NIL in college football. I hate it. I think the main problem, I think the main problem is the transfer portal and how people can transfer without having to sit out. Get rid of that. Go back to how it used to be where you have to sit out for a year. And I think a lot of the problems will solve itself. I do. But we're ultimately coming up to the big split. I've talked about this before on this channel. About 24 to 32 of the biggest NCAA schools are going to break off and create their own league, their own NCAA. They're going to leave the NCAA and create their own. There's going to be no academic requirements, paying players, collective bargaining. It'll be a total, basically a pro sports league run by the universities. And that's where we're headed. The one leverage that the non-big schools have in this scenario is March Madness, because the big schools know that March Madness cannot be the wildly successful brand that it is without the small schools. They know that. And March Madness is the most valuable asset in regards to the NCAA. And if these 32 schools break off or whatever, there's no way they'll be able to create a basketball postseason format that is anywhere near as compelling or valuable as the current March Madness format. They just can't. And that's the leverage the small schools have. And so what the big schools are going to ask is, how much do we truly want to break off from the NCAA? Are we willing to sacrifice March Madness and all the revenue that comes from that in order to create our own autonomous collegiate athletics organization for football? Basically, they have to ask themselves, is the money we would gain from football worth more than what we would lose from March Madness? I don't think it is, because I don't think a 24 to 32 team Super League would be anywhere near as successful as people think it's going to be. It would be a massive failure, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying it would flop like the XFL in 2001. I'm not saying it'd be that bad, but it will not be as successful as people think. Because I think a lot of people watch college football because they feel some sort of connection to it. Like TCU, they would not be in a Super League. We would not be in a Super League. But the reason I still watch SEC games on Saturdays or Big Ten games is because TCU is still connected to those schools by being in Division I. But if they left and created their own NCAA, we would no longer be connected to that. And so the casual fan isn't going to tune into it because they no longer have any connection to it. But that's where we're headed. It's inevitable, in my opinion. It's just got to get to the point where March Madness, that will be the tripwire. They would have to sacrifice March Madness for this to happen, because a lot of people will be like, oh, it'll be football only. No, I think that's what the smaller schools that aren't a part of the Super League would do. They would be like, if you guys break off, we're not going to schedule you guys. We're not going to let you participate in March Madness. We're not going to have anything to do with you guys. It would kind of be like the Civil War almost. And so that's what these big schools have to ask. Is it worth sacrificing March Madness for? So that is how I feel about NIL and the direction that college sports are heading. Eagles 01, how do sportsbooks get their inside information? There's a lot of ways. There's crooked refs, crooked players, people on the inside that troll around. I wouldn't say the sports books get the information. I would say individual people that are respected when it comes to moving lines get the information, and just they can put two and two together. I muted him, Michael Santoro. Josh Hilton Outdoors wants to know, what do you think will be the outcome of more and more U.S. states legalizing sports gambling? More debt? Yes. Yes. That's what worries me, is that it's different than casino games like slot machines, blackjack. It's different because I think even the average person knows that the house always wins in regards to things like that. But the average person, when it comes to sports betting, they all think they're a genius and an expert. And it's very easy to be suckered in when it comes to sports betting and be kind of unaware of how badly you're truly doing. Because a lot of people don't keep records of their bets. They don't keep track of their bets and how they're doing, profit and loss. They don't keep that much detail. They know when they lose, they know when they win, but when it comes down to it, most people won't be able to tell you whether they're up or down, long run, right? And I think a lot of people aren't aware, but I think, like I said, a lot of people, sports betting's becoming legal in New York, Louisiana, all these states, and so all these people are like, I want to sign up, I want to start betting. They don't know what they're getting themselves into, and that's what worries me. And I feel like that's kind of the niche I've carved out in my own channel, is that I'm kind of like the warning. Hey, know what you're getting yourself into. Sports betting can be fun and enjoyable in moderation, in my opinion, but if you take it too far, like if you try to make it like a side income or a side hustle or something to make money with, you're going to be disappointed because you're probably going to fail. I treat it like the casino. I mean, I'll when I'm in Las Vegas, I'll sit down at a blackjack table or a video poker machine every now and then for entertainment purposes. And if I lose, which I probably will, then I just view that as the money I paid for the price of entertainment. I'm not doing it to make money. I'm not doing it to, go home with extra money in my pocket. I'm doing it to be entertained, and that's how people need to view betting on sports. You need to get the value from the entertainment and not the making money aspect. You need to separate the two. Yep, Anthony McClanahan is right when it comes to beat writers. I hate how coaches leave before bowls now. I agree, but you have to blame the recruiting calendar for that. This channel's been reported for harassment. Fine, I don't care. Big Short. Oh, wait, I just looked up Stu Feiner, and the guy's selling weekly picks for $7,500. I covered this about earlier in the stream. I did cover that. The reason he charges so much money isn't because his picks are worth that much, but it's to prevent transparency and accountability. Because when you're charging $7,500 for picks, not very many people are going to buy them, and therefore there's not going to be very many people that know whether those picks win or lose, and therefore people can't hold his record over his head. That's why it's so much. Do I think the MLB season will start on time? No, I do not, and I'm pretty confident. What do I think about CM Punk's pipe bomb promo? That's 10 years old now? He was great as a anti-authority figure, anti-WWE. I'm disrespected by WWE upper brass. And that's why I believe his AEW run has been such a flop, because now he's just smiling, I'm glad to be here. AEW is great. Tony Khan is great. Isn't AEW great? That's not his character. His character was successful because he was kind of like a rebel in a way. He rebelled against the authority of WWE management. Vince McMahon, Triple H, John Cena. He doesn't do that in AEW. He's just a smiling, happy guy. I'm glad to be here. AEW is so great. That's why his character's not connecting. That's why he's not drawing any eyeballs. That's not why people tune in to see CM Punk. Yeah, I muted him. All records kept. How do we know the records aren't altered? Let me guess. All the records show that every single tout on the tout roster is a long-term winner. That's what I'm guessing. How do we know they're not altered, manipulated? How do we know the picks that they're so transparent about are accurate? That's part of why I hate touts so much, is because when they say they're transparent, like I made a video about this, about like independent tout watchdog monitors, that document how touts do. That's just an arm of the touts themselves. They pay those independent watchdog monitoring tracking sites to manipulate their records. Patrick P. Poker, hey, joined a little bit late tonight, man. Would love to see more political stuff, the inside of how polling works. I would love to do that, Patrick Poker. Like I said, I did that for a living for so many years, not so much anymore. I still do public opinion research, but not really so much in the political arena. But I have so much expertise on that, and I feel like I could come up with good videos. Favorite sport? Baseball. Right, Patrick P. Popper? Of all these people in the chat that are white knighting for pick dogs, or like, if they're making so much money, then why are they wasting their time? Shouldn't they be out spending all the money they're winning? Josh Hilton Outdoors, can you sum up what's going on with MLB? Greed. Players want money. Owners don't want to spend as much money. They're at an impasse. That's what's going on. Who's going to crack first? That's really how it is. Yep, that's what I want to. That's what Anthony Fiala. That's what I keep saying. Like, why do they care so much? I mean, I'm a small time YouTuber. It's not like I'm NBC Nightly News or 60 Minutes on CBS that did an expose about them. Being a bench warmer, you learn to talk alone. That's the least. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was a bench warmer at TCU, but I don't care. I was along for the ride. I had a good time. It was fun. Mikowski, do you think WWE could ever get back to the glory days, or are they pretty much done? I don't think they're done. They're still a valuable brand. WWE is still a very valuable brand. The reason that they are not like they used to be, back in the Attitude Era, is because people have more entertainment options these days. Remember when WWE was really big in the late 90s with The Rock, Austin, all that? Social media didn't exist. The internet was still in its infancy. Online video games weren't really a thing. So people didn't really have a lot of entertainment options, right? These days, people have so many options when it comes to entertainment. It's that people just don't have the attention span anymore for something like WWE. But their YouTube still does very well. Their social media engagement does very well. It's still a very valuable brand. They're still making a lot of money. It's just that people consume WWE content in a different way today than they did 20 years ago. Yep, I plan to keep calling them out. Chris Medina, politics sucks right now. Yeah, I'm gonna say this. If I were you guys, I would go out to your grocery store and stock up on some dry food and stuff, because I think we're a couple weeks away. Based on what I know, based on what I do for a living, I don't know how much I should share, but we're probably going to see a pretty big supply chain and inflation. You think it's bad now, just wait a few weeks. Just wait a couple weeks. All the signs in the consumer packaged good industry right now are pointing to a supply chain and inflation crisis. You guys think it's bad now, just wait. There's a lot of leading indicators. I don't know how many of you guys work in consumer packaged goods or anything like that, but it's part of what I consult on these days. Like I said, not so much politics anymore, but some of the leading indicators that there's going to be a supply constraints. See how much real estate turkey is taking up at the grocery store. Turkey is considered the last line of protein, because when grocery stores can't get the supply they need of beef, chicken, pork, turkey is usually the last line, right? Potatoes are usually frozen potatoes specifically, like your frozen hash browns, frozen French fries. That's another leading indicator. If you start to see that disappear from the freezers in the freezer aisle, that's usually not a good sign either. But I would strongly suggest on maybe buying a bulk rice and dry beans, stuff like that. Maybe a couple things of peanut butter, because peanut butter is very calorically dense. I'm not trying to doomsday you guys. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just saying that there's rumblings in the consumer packaged good industry right now, specifically groceries, that we are on the precipice of some massive supply chain inflation crisis. Some cappers have a losing streak and they don't hide them. It doesn't matter. Are they long-term winners or not? That's what I want to know. I don't care if they're on a losing streak in their last 10. So Alex A., did they really make a video about me? So they really made a video about me? Are you serious? Talk about punching down. That's one thing. I was a big supporter of Donald Trump. I was, and I still am, and I will vote for him when he runs again. But the one thing that I think he could have done without was punching down. And I feel like making a video about me is definitely punching down. This has never been a picks channel. I've given out picks on this channel before, yeah, but it's never been the cornerstone of this channel. Could I do a video on the current redistricting trends? I would love to, Josh Hilton Outdoors. Because it makes me laugh that you have you have Democrats talking, wanting to sue Texas or saying that this map is too gerrymandered when they are just as guilty of gerrymandering. Here's the deal. Democrats gerrymandered the hell out of Oregon and New Mexico. And this so-called independent commission in Virginia with their latest redistricting map basically is redistricted to save the vulnerable Democrats like Abigail Spanberger in Virginia 10. And the thing is Republicans are not returning the favor. They are not. Like, there is no way to defend Oregon's 4 congressional districts being cutting up Portland into 4. That is gerrymandering. Splitting Albuquerque in half in New Mexico is gerrymandering. Where's the outrage about that? And Republicans don't return the favor. I would love to make a video on that. I don't care if you consider my behavior unaccessible. Big Short 08, I think we are in a recession. I'll be like, okay. A lot of talk about suing me, no action. Eagles 01, no, I wouldn't be concerned if he worked in a grocery store. I'd be concerned about angry customers. No, they didn't, Timothy Gates. The Federal Reserve has no power to do anything about the supply chain. Yeah, Snader 123. People always say we are 3 missed meals away from anarchy. If the country as a whole, not like the entire country, but if most people in the country miss 3 meals, then society collapses. That's how fragile any society is. So there's a 20-minute video made about me. Wow, 20 minutes. Talk about rent-free. I'm not a capper, exactly. That's not what I do. Well, yeah, the reaction videos were... I got the idea for reaction videos from Courtney Ryan. I saw one of her reaction videos one day, and I was like, I could do that, but with sports betting. What's my 3-mile time? I think my fastest one was like 21:45, but I've never really focused on that, like getting a good time in the 3-mile. What do you think about Touts claiming they can help you win in fantasy sports? I do think that since you're competing against other people and not the house in fantasy sports, I do think it's possible to give out good fantasy sports advice as long as it's rooted in statistics, like statistical models and not so much gut statistics. But I do think fantasy sports, I still think that the house edge and the take in DraftKings and stuff is a little too high to overcome. And I do think that the sharks and the whales in daily fantasy will drown most people out. But I do think you also have a higher likelihood of success in daily fantasy sports, but also you have a higher chance of success, but your busts, like if you fail, you're going to fail a lot harder. Let's put it that way. Johnny D, what's your thoughts of analytics and their impact of in-game strategy in sports? What's the fine line between doing something because the numbers say so versus it being a dumb in-game coaching decision? I like that question, Johnny D, because I'm actually, being a data scientist and analytics guy by profession myself, I actually hate how analytics is taking over football, baseball, all that. I still think a coach with a feel of the game is better than, some guy crunching numbers upstairs in the press box. I do. And that might be surprising coming from me, but sports has such a human element that you can't always play the numbers. You can't, which is weird because when it comes to sports betting, I always say you have to play the numbers and not your hunches, but sports is different. You need to understand the human side of sports. Otherwise, we'd have robots coaching and calling plays. AI would be doing that. And we don't, and I don't think that's good. There's too much of a human element involved when it comes to coaching and managing a successful team in sports. There is. Eagles 01, today's my last day of quarantine from COVID, and I have to say it's a total joke. I was sick for like 2 days. Yeah, when I got COVID, I've said this before, but I used to get sinus infections all the time. And I've had sinus infections that were 100 times worse than when I had COVID. It was a joke. But then again, I'm a healthy guy. And no, I haven't gotten vaccinated or anything like that. So, like, I remember when I got swine flu back in 2009. That was awful. Like, I'm not saying I needed to go to the hospital or anything, but I was miserable for like 5 days. It was just miserable because I was coughing so much that eventually, like, my throat tore and it hurt to like swallow or talk or anything like that for like 3 days. It was just agony. Swine flu back in 2009. Yep. I'll never forget that. I was at TCU. I had to miss a whole week of off season, winter off season. It happened in February. Big Shorts, thoughts on this administration? I'm not sure what you mean by that. The Federal Reserve is only going to make the problem worse, Timothy Gates. The Federal Reserve exists for one reason, to make bankers money. It doesn't exist to care about the public policy. Yeah, gerrymandering in Illinois is very bad. No one ever wants to talk about that, though. Geez, 5K at 17 minutes? Yeah, I can't run that fast. Joe Hoff, where do you find legitimate cappers? There are none. A marathon in 2 hours, 50 minutes? That's crazy. I'm trying to get mine under 4 hours. I ran a half marathon with an 8-minute pace. So that would if I kept an 8-minute pace, that would translate to like a 3 hours, 30 minutes. Geez, I couldn't imagine. I remember that was tough to maintain the 8-minute pace for the half. It's funny you mentioned that, Anthony Fiola. Do you remember that Office episode where they do the 5K and like a lot of the workers pretend to do it and then they hop in a cab and go to a bar and then like... Does anyone remember that Office episode when they were running for rabies or whatever? But anyway, it reminds me, when I was living in Kentucky for work one time, we went to like an axe throwing place. And me and some of the people I worked with were like, this is so stupid. And so we pretty much did that. We like threw one axe and we're like, that's dumb. And then we went to the bar across the street. I'm surprised axe throwing places still exist. Like, I think it's the stupidest, lamest activity. It's so dumb. Like, I was talking about this with my cousin when we were in Houston a few months ago and we went to some restaurant and right next door is an axe throwing place. We were like, I can't believe those places still exist. Because I would imagine that people go there once and are like, okay, I did it. And I'm not going to waste money on that again. Like, seriously, what is the appeal of axe throwing? It's so stupid. Anyway, it's just those places are popping up everywhere. I'm surprised that they're able to get enough repeat business to make it. Yeah, but it's not the burden's not on me as a young, healthy guy to here's how contagious illnesses have always worked in human history. You don't quarantine the healthy to protect the sick. That's not how it works. Yet that's what COVID mitigation has been based on for 2 years. It's been punishing the healthy to protect the those at risk, right? That's not how it works. Those at risk need to take personal responsibility and, protect themselves, right? It shouldn't be on healthy people to take action. That's what I hate. And I think we're starting to see the slow reversal from this administration when it comes to COVID mitigation. They're realizing it's all worthless. They're realizing that you can't, mask and lock down and vaccinate your way out of this. But the political opportunity that it creates is and I think you can't let that toothpaste back in the tube because you're starting to see rumblings about how, the Biden administration wants to say, hey, we have to learn how to live with COVID. It's here to stay. We just need to learn how to deal with it. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube because they have spent the last 2 years trying to scare the ever-loving crap out of people, and there's too many people out there that have bought into the fear-mongering that believe that COVID is the Black Plague, right? I want to say Bill Maher on his show is like making fun of a poll that showed like that a majority of Democrats believe that if you get COVID, you have a 50% chance of hospitalization, right? He is making a lot of people have bought the COVID is the Black Plague hook, line, and sinker narrative, and you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. You're not going to be able to tell these people that, we have to learn how to live with COVID because they spent the last 2 years in fear of their lives. Total fear, right? Total fear. There's no way you're going to be able to get people to just flip that. Yeah, I think 340 would be a good time for me, Grub Warp. I just don't. It's tough. Yeah, I don't see how you can have liquor in an axe throwing place. That's just an insurance nightmare. No, I'm not going to watch the video about me. Because I don't care. Yeah, Justin Bieber, most of his revenue probably comes from the sports books he gets his viewers to sign up for. What I think about Captain Jack Andrews, I think he's a example of a person who knows what they're talking about in terms of sports betting on YouTube. I do, and I'm subscribed to him, and I've said good things about him in the past. With that being said, he seems to kind of be very part-time, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but his video releases are few and far between. But hey, quality over quantity. I do wish he would call out the underbelly of the industry a little bit more, but I guess that's what I'm for. Yeah, Justin Bieber, that's something I noticed when I clicked on the individual handicapper web pages on Pick Dogs, is that you couldn't find their actual records. Because remember on my video, I was there on what's-his-face's page, Chris Ruffalo. So I'm on there right now. I'm looking at it. Where's his records? Okay. So he's 51.9% win percentage on NFL. So yeah, he's 3. Okay, they're showing he's 3-6, but that's the thing. You can only view 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 picks at a time, right? So being able to scrape that data for long-term analysis would take a lot of effort. Like what they should do if they really wanted to be transparent is be able to download their entire pick history into an Excel document so someone can analyze it, right? But instead you can only view 10 picks at a time. That's the problem. That's causing people to jump through hoops. A true transparent web page would allow you to download the data in an Excel document. So if you want to be transparent, Pick Dogs, people that are still watching, there's an idea. If you can't do that, if you can't provide a downloadable Excel file containing their entire bet history, then you guys aren't really transparent. Yep. That's Patrick Poker. That's exactly why they're. I got banned from Twitter for a week before they permanently banned me for trying to make the distinction between with COVID and because of COVID. I got called a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, I didn't go to a gym for 3 months in San Diego. Who made the most money out of this hysteria besides Big Pharma? Amazon. Any business that allows you to shop from home. So the Amazons and like big box retailers, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, big business have profited massively from the pandemic. Small businesses were crushed. Yep, Mikowski. There's people on Twitter, TikTok with no following at all selling pick packages. Like I said, the internet allows anybody to become a tout. And if you lose too much, you just delete your account and start over. That's what a lot of them do. Justin Bieber, is that true? So when they're above 50%, you see data, and when they're below 50%, you see no data? I didn't know that, Justin Bieber. No, I'm saying, how can you determine if a handicapper is profitable long-term if you can only see 10 picks at a time? Like I said, if you're truly transparent, provide their entire betting history in an Excel document. I'm not inputting that data, man. I mean, yeah, I could go through Chris Ruffalo's record and copy and paste. And also, how do you know the data wasn't changed? How do you know it wasn't manipulated? That's the thing. There's so many smoke and mirrors you can do. It's a never-ending target. So my philosophy is, don't trust these people. It all comes down to the basic concept is if you were able to pick games at a clip that allowed you to profit long-term, you would not be selling access to those picks. You would be betting it yourself and protecting your edge. That's what it all comes down to. That's what it all comes down to. You would not be selling your picks and packages for $50 if you truly had an approach that won long-term. Oof. Favorite baseball player growing up? It was Juan Gonzalez, 2-time AL MVP who completely fell off the face of the planet. My dad worked for the Rangers when I was a kid, and I have a picture in my closet of me with Juan Gonzalez when I was like 8. But the Rangers, so Juan Gonzalez, 2-time AL MVP, I think he was the most feared hitter in the American League in the 90s, if not the majors. I mean, this guy he won the MVP twice for a reason. But anyway, his last year of his contract was in 2000, and the Rangers were convinced that he wasn't going to re-sign with the Rangers and he was going to go to New York, the Yankees. And so they traded him to the Tigers for like 7 players, none of which really became of anything. Like one of them was Gabe Kapler, now the manager for the Giants. But then he had like Frank Catalanato. Justin Thompson was the biggest piece of that deal, but he never actually pitched for the Rangers because he destroyed his arm and never actually. So the Rangers pretty much got nobody. Francisco Cordero was an all-star one year. But anyway, Juan Gonzalez wanted to stay in Texas. He was not going to go to the Yankees. He was happy in Texas. He did not want to leave. And he viewed Doug Melvin trading him as like a huge insult. And he was never the same after that. And then he got hurt and kind of just faded away into obscurity. So the Rangers inducted him into the Rangers Hall of Fame, and he didn't show up because he's still bitter about being traded after the 99 season. But that was my favorite baseball player growing up, Juan Gonzalez. I also like, the whole Pudge Rodriguez, of course, I liked Rafael Palmeiro, Rusty Greer. If you're talking about anyone who didn't play for the Rangers, I used to pretend to be Randy Johnson. Even though I wasn't left-handed, I still did my best to throw left-handed and tried to copy his arm motion. I loved Randy Johnson. I liked Frank Thomas. Yeah, so gosh, I was so into baseball when I was a kid because I went to a school for special, gifted and talented kids. So I'd have to take a bus an hour each way to go to school every day growing up because I went to a school for really smart kids. And so a lot of the guys in my class were very smart, and we were really into baseball because we played baseball and we also ran our own fantasy league. We were 8 years old, and we were running a fantasy league by hand. We would go to 7-Eleven every Wednesday to get a Baseball Weekly because this was before the internet, and we would get a copy of Baseball Weekly to, see what the stats were and do our fantasy league. And we were really into baseball growing up, baseball cards, baseball. Prishaw, do you think when betting exchanges come to USA, players will have the better edge? The thing with the exchange is that the edge is just shifts. There's going to be whales, just like the stock market. There's going to be whales, but there's going to be mostly guppies, right? That's not going to change. The odds of you being a whale is still going to be very hard. But I do think that that's why I like predictive betting so much, is because, being a political consultant, I know when markets are mispriced just based on my experience in the field, right? I knew in 2016 that the polls were inaccurate. I knew in 2018 that, for example, Mike DeWine was going to win the Republican governor race in Ohio, even though not one poll had him up. I knew Ron DeSantis was going to win in Florida, even though you had entities like NBC coming out with polls showing his opponent up by 12. Being in political opinion research back during that time, I knew, and I could make money that way. And sports is a little bit different, though, because, like I said, you don't have that kind of inside information, but I still think there's opportunities. It would have to definitely be a wait-and-see type of thing. Yeah, Juan Gonzalez is definitely on the juice. That whole Rangers team was. I know they don't force you to buy anything, but I just think touting is it's not a morally good way to make money. I do not believe the earth is flat. I don't know why we would think I believe that, but I don't. Randy Johnson wrote you back. Nice. I mean, I got a perfect score on my ACT, Neil Resmondo. It's like this chat is now filled with shills shilling for other touts. Bobby Robeson, watching Nets and Bulls. Not enough balls for all the hogs on the Nets. Did I ever get Juan Gonzalez Air baseball card? No. The Donruss Air card? Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but no. I do have a Juan Gonzalez Donruss card in that closet, but it's not an Air card. Yeah, Donruss. The thing is, my dad worked for the Rangers. I got so much stuff. Like, I have 2 chairs from Arlington Stadium out on my balcony that are signed by Nolan Ryan. I got like a box in the closet just full of all the Rangers memorabilia that I got. Man, what time is it? 9:22. I'll go to 9:30. Ended at 9:30. But yeah, I apologize for wasting a lot of the stream bannering with the touts and the trolls, because that's not what this is supposed to be about. But TCU's up by 10. Let's not blow it. But I want to talk about sports. I want to talk about sports betting. I want to have more of a positive. I don't want to argue. It's just that's been a major cornerstone of my channel. Is calling out touts. They deserve to be called out. It's not an honorable way to make a living. It's not. Who's Brian Bittler? I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Is he another Pick Dogs tout? Adam Dunn. Talk about like strikeout or home run. Vegas Dave. He was Comic Kish, but we muted him because he was just spamming the chat, being annoying. And I'm honestly surprised he hasn't come back with an alternate account. It's funny driving around Las Vegas and seeing the Vegas Dave billboards. It really is. It makes me laugh. Brian Bittler. So just another Pick Dogs scam artist. That's the thing. I wonder if when I go after like Wager Talk or when I go after Stu Feiner, I wonder if they're going to hit back as hard as these guys have. That kind of makes me worry. I'm not that I'm afraid or anything, but it's like something still tells me that the people that really attacked this channel back during March Madness last year did so because of the time I called out Stu Feiner on the live stream one day. Anthony McLanahan, I don't know. The thing is, I'm going to spend most of my Saturdays either at a TCU basketball game or on the road at one. And I will not do another bird feeder cam. They give you units, not records. Yeah, that's... Like I said, there's so many ways to smoke and mirrors your pick records and your pick history and performance that there's no way to know if it's legit or not. So Occam's razor says don't trust it. Like I've always said, it all circles back to the central theory If you truly had a way to pick games to where you could profit long term, you would not be selling them. Exactly. That's what I don't understand, Bobby Robison's. Like, they seem so mad and upset. And like I said, it all circles back to the concept that the one thing touts fear the most is sunlight. Sunlight is what they fear. Wager Talk is just a bunch of former pregame touts that left after the Deadspin article because they knew they weren't going to be able to survive the Deadspin piece. They're all a bunch of former pregame touts. Marco D'Angelo, Teddy Covers, they're all scam artists. Even RJ Bell's old carnival barker, Johnny Detroit. Pub Sports Radio, what's that? TCU basketball. I don't think people. I used to be I still love TCU basketball. Don't get me wrong, but my favorite seasons of TCU basketball are actually when they're really bad, because that's when being a fan of TCU basketball, like, you had to be a true diehard during those years. Like, it was almost a source of pride for me to still support them, even though they went 0-18 in the Big 12. I also worked for them at the time, but still, like, I'm not as enthusiastic now as I was at the time. NLVD says, would you only say the house can profit off sports betting long term? Pretty much, yeah. Like I said, there are people who probably make money on sports long term, but like I said earlier in the stream, it comes down to two things. Either you're extremely lucky, like, hitting a progressive jackpot in a slot machine lucky, or you spent an unreasonable amount of time and resources on a model that pans out. How's the Bumble going? It's funny you asked. They banned me. So I got on Hinge instead. Why did they ban me? Because, to be honest with you, back in 2018, the thing is, the first time I joined Bumble was when I was living in Louisville in 2018. I created an account. I probably didn't have the best pictures, and then I was like, okay, my pictures suck. So I got some better pictures, and I instead of just, keeping my account, I deleted my account and restarted it with the new pictures. I was like, since you don't get any second chances on Bumble, once someone swipes you left or whatever, that's it. But anyway, like I said, I just restarted my account, and apparently that's a big no-no. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was against the rules, but they banned my account for that. And so signing up for Bumble for the first time in, 4 years almost, they still remembered me, I guess. And they banned me. So I'm on Hinge instead, which is going okay. It's really hard to dial in your profile on pictures. It really is. Yeah, I'm on Hinge. Like, I actually used Hinge back in the fall, back in September, October. I was actually pretty successful. I got like 3 matches. I was like, okay, because I had a lot of matches. I'm like, you can't talk to them all. So I had 3 matches from there. And I was like, I'm just going to focus on these 3. And then I deleted the app. Focus on those 3. None of the 3 really panned out for different reasons. Mutual. Like, it wasn't like me getting dumped or whatever. And so I signed back up. And so far, it's okay. Scott K, I'm glad you're here. Before I end the stream, Scott K, did you see my video about pick dogs? Do you think it was in good taste if you did? Yeah. The thing about Hinge is that, how do I put it? And I haven't downloaded Tinder just because I feel like I'm too old for Tinder. Tinder's a different scene. I feel like it's more hookup based than like something more serious. And I'm 33. I'm not in the hookup scene anymore. Good thing, Grubwarp. But I feel like Hinge is full of mostly serious people, so they're going to be a lot more selective, if that makes sense. They're just not mindlessly swiping And so that means you got to be on your A game. But I signed up for Hinge on Friday, and I got like probably, because how Hinge works is a little bit different than Tinder or Bumble. Is that you send people likes, and it's up to the person you send it to accept it. And so within 48 hours of me starting my Hinge account, I had over 100 likes and 7 roses. And roses are kind of like a super like, so to speak. And I was like, this is great. And so I went through all 100 plus of them, and I didn't match with a single one of them. They all sucked. They're all ugly or had deal breaker. Like, no single moms. That's one of my rules. No single moms. No offense to single moms. It's just not my scene. I don't want to raise another man's kid. I mean, that's just preference. Same thing with tattoos. Like, maybe 1 tattoo, maybe 2 I can deal with. But if you're covered, like, with sleeves and all of your legs and chest, like, I have preferably I want no tattoos at all. I just think they're not tasteful in a woman. Like, I don't believe, show me one woman who's more attractive because of her tattoos. You can't. But that's another thing. Like, so like a lot of these, so if they weren't 1s or 2s out of 10, they were, had deal breakers, like single mom, too many tattoos, that type of stuff. But so that was kind of disappointing. Oh, yeah, Scott K. They've been all over me the past 24 hours. They're calling my phone. They're blowing up my Twitter, comment sections, you name it. Email. Comet Kiss, you're probably not wrong when you say waiting for Brad Pitt, because I know a lot of girls in real life, and a lot of them are on the apps to window shop, and a lot of these girls don't need to be on these apps because they have strong social circles and social lives and everything like that, to the point where they meet plenty of guys in their day-to-day life, in their social life. So they're on these apps really to pine for like the top tier of guy, like the pro athlete, the actor, the musician, the millionaire finance guy. Otherwise, they're just on these apps for validation, see how many likes they can get, see how many guys can, validate them. There's definitely some truth to that. Because I could open my Hinge account right now and, like, go in the standout section. So Hinge has a standout section that shows you, like, basically the most attractive women in the area. I could show you the standout section of my Hinge and be like, none of these girls need to be on here. They could probably walk into any bar in Dallas and be hit on by like 25 guys right away. And, I know that kind of might sound like I'm bitter and being in like incel, so to speak, but it's just truth. Like, there's no need for some of these girls to be on these apps. It kind of reminds me of when I, working in TV for as long as I did, of course, I was involved with reporters, journalists, people that were local celebrities almost. And it was kind of hard dealing with them because I got so much attention, that it's like, it almost made you feel insecure in a way. And it was very hard to, it felt like you couldn't compete with the attention they were getting. I haven't even watched the reaction video to me, and I'm not going to. Have I ever dated outside of my race? No, and it's just not my thing. I just don't have any interest. No offense, like I said, it's just preference. Yeah, they've been telling me I'm going to get sued for the past 24 hours. Send me a summons. Are they really going to waste time sending me to like small claims court or something? That's what I want to know. Jeez. All right, what time is it? 9:34. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it a night. It was a good one, but again, I'm not even going to watch it. But I'll be back. I'm not going to be back next Wednesday. I'm going to be in Stillwater for the TCU basketball game, so I'll try to be back in a couple of weeks. Wednesday, January 26th. How does that sound? Right, Scott K? I don't know what they can sue me for. I mean, I was just giving my opinion on what touts. Yeah, touts are. I didn't like. I don't know what I could be sued for. But yeah, I'll be back on January 26th. I'll try to come out with some videos between now and then. Like I said, I want to do a positive reaction video, like where I react to a positive sports betting video and say, you know what? This is good. They did a good job with this. And I know you guys want to see more educational content like I used to do, and I just need some specific examples, right? Specific examples of what you want to see. How am I not going to watch because I just don't care enough? Maybe I will one day, but I just don't care enough. It's just going to send more people to my channel, more views, more subscribers. Right? That was honestly on LVD before I leave. I do want to point that out. That was one thing I was kind of afraid of when I lived in Las Vegas, was like coming across some of these touts and them like retaliating. Because I would go to the Westgate or Circa and see these touts. I know what they look like. I know who they are. And they would never say anything to me, but I mean, people do reaction videos on YouTube all the time. I could do that, Anthony Fiola. I could do that. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna call it a night, guys. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Yeah, okay, Anthony Fiola, thanks for the idea. All right, guys, I will see you guys 2 weeks, January 26th. Have a good night, everyone.